Crop circles are intricate patterns found in flattened crops, often sparking speculation about their origin. While some suggest supernatural or extraterrestrial causes, the prevailing view is that they are human-made. Reports of crop circles have increased since the 1970s, appearing near populated areas and cultural sites. In the UK, an arts collective has been creating them since the 1990s. Despite claims of paranormal origins, there is no credible evidence to support them. However, some believe that decoding the mathematical patterns within crop circles could lead to new discoveries. Cryptoastronomy is a fascinating field that explores the possibility of undiscovered or hidden astronomical objects and phenomena within and beyond our solar system. This branch of study delves into the realm of hypothetical celestial bodies and cosmic events that have been speculated about throughout history. One area of interest in cryptoastronomy is the study of hypothetical planet types. These include worlds composed primarily of exotic materials, such as carbon planets, which are thought to be made mostly of carbon instead of the silicon-based composition of Earth. Some scientists have even proposed the existence of planets with oceans of ammonia or hydrochloric acid, challenging our understanding of what conditions are necessary for life to thrive. Another captivating concept in cryptoastronomy is the idea of the eyeball planet, a tidally locked world where the uneven heating of its surface creates features resembling a human eye. This unique configuration could result in stark contrasts between the planet's perpetually light and dark sides, potentially harboring unusual forms of life. Cryptoastronomers also explore the possibility of helium planets, gas giants composed mainly of helium rather than hydrogen, which could challenge our current models of planetary formation. The cryptoterrestrial hypothesis, developed by a researcher and later published after their passing, proposes a fascinating and unconventional explanation for the phenomena of UFOs and alleged alien abductions. According to this theory, the entities often associated with these events are not extraterrestrial visitors from distant worlds, but rather enigmatic and elusive races that have coexisted with humanity on Earth for an extended period. These cryptoterrestrial beings, as they are called, are considered a type of cryptid, a term used to describe creatures whose existence is unproven or disputed. The hypothesis suggests that these races have managed to remain hidden and secretive throughout history, presenting themselves as extraterrestrial or supernatural entities to maintain their anonymity. The cryptoterrestrial hypothesis shares some commonalities with certain aspects of the interdimensional UFO hypothesis, which proposes that the beings behind UFO sightings and encounters may originate from alternate dimensions or parallel realities. Both theories challenge the conventional notion of extraterrestrial visitation and suggest that the truth behind these phenomena may be more complex and deeply rooted in our own world. Some have drawn comparisons between the cryptoterrestrial hypothesis and the ideas put forth by certain individuals in the past, suggesting that it may be an extension or elaboration of these earlier concepts. However, the cryptoterrestrial hypothesis stands on its own as a thought-provoking and intriguing explanation for the enduring mysteries surrounding UFOs and alleged alien encounters. Crystal skulls are intriguing artifacts that have captured the imagination of people for decades. These human skull-shaped carvings, made from clear or milky white quartz, have often been claimed to be ancient Mesoamerican relics, dating back to pre-Columbian times. However, scientific studies have revealed that the most famous crystal skulls were actually crafted much more recently, likely in the 19th century, and originated from Europe, not the Americas. Despite the lack of evidence supporting their ancient origins, crystal skulls have become associated with various legends and mystical powers in popular culture. Some believe that these skulls possess supernatural abilities, such as the power to induce visions, cure illnesses, or even cause death. These claims have been particularly popular within the New Age movement, where crystal skulls are sometimes linked to lost civilizations like Atlantis, or the idea of 13 sacred skulls coming together to prevent a catastrophe. However, it's important to note that there is no scientific basis for these beliefs, and genuine Mesoamerican or other Native American mythologies do not feature crystal skulls with mystical powers. Instead, the mythology surrounding crystal skulls can be traced back to the stories spread by individuals in the early 20th century, which were later adopted and expanded upon by New Age writers. Despite the lack of historical authenticity, crystal skulls remain popular objects of fascination and have been featured in numerous works of fiction, including books, films, and television shows. The concept of a culture of health, proposed by a Russian scientist in the late 1960s, suggests that the overall well-being of an individual is determined by the harmony between their spiritual, mental, and physical health. This holistic approach emphasizes that a person's health is not just the absence of disease, but rather a state of complete balance and vitality across all aspects of their being. According to this perspective, achieving a higher level of health is a prerequisite for attaining a greater level of cultural development, and vice versa. The culture of health is seen as an integral part of various facets of life, including spiritual culture, moral culture, work culture, and leisure culture, as well as the culture of personality and relationships. Proponents of this concept argue that the culture of health should be considered a distinct field of study that explores the theoretical and practical aspects of fostering the harmonious development of an individual's spiritual, mental, and physical capabilities. This involves creating an optimal environment that supports a higher level of creativity and vitality in life. The idea of a culture of health has gained traction in some parts of the world, with organizations being established to promote its principles and implement innovative health programs that support this holistic approach to well-being. These initiatives often focus on educating people about healthy lifestyles and providing resources to help them achieve balance and vitality in their lives. The curse of knowledge is a cognitive bias that occurs when someone who is well informed about a subject assumes that others possess the same level of understanding. This can lead to communication difficulties, as the knowledgeable individual may struggle to put themselves in the position of someone who is less familiar with the topic. For example, a professor who has spent years studying a particular subject may find it challenging to explain complex concepts to students who are encountering the material for the first time. The professor's deep understanding of the subject can make it difficult for them to remember the challenges that novice learners face. This bias extends beyond the classroom and into various professional settings. In the business world, salespeople who are intimately familiar with their products may struggle to understand the perspective of potential customers who lack the same level of knowledge. As a result, they may overprice high-quality goods and underprice low-quality items relative to what would be optimal for maximizing profits. The curse of knowledge can also impact the way experts in various fields, such as investment bankers, food critics, and movie producers, price and market their goods to the public. The bias can lead to inefficiencies in markets where there is an information asymmetry between buyers and sellers. Interestingly, while the curse of knowledge can be detrimental to individual decision-making, it may actually improve overall social welfare by reducing the negative effects of information asymmetries in certain situations. Researchers have explored the implications of the curse of knowledge in a variety of contexts, from education and marketing to computer programming and popular culture. Understanding this bias and its potential impact can help individuals and organizations communicate more effectively and make better informed decisions. Cyber-nihilism is a peculiar phenomenon that has emerged in certain online communities, particularly among those with leftist or radical leanings. It is not a well-defined ideology or political stance, but rather a mindset or attitude characterized by a deep skepticism towards technology and a rejection of traditional ideas about meaning and purpose. At its core, cyber-nihilism is not about adhering to a specific set of beliefs or theories. Instead, it is a recognition that human attempts to control complex systems, such as capitalism and technology, are often futile and doomed to fail. This perspective acknowledges the limitations of human-centric views of politics and the world at large. Nihilism, in this context, can manifest in both passive and active forms. Passive nihilism may lead to feelings of hopelessness and despair, while active nihilism can take on a more confrontational and aggressive stance. However, cyber-nihilism does not necessarily embrace despair. Rather, it accepts the inherent limitations of human control over the world. The cyber aspect of cyber-nihilism suggests a desire to minimize human involvement in the management of complex systems. It recognizes that humans are not well suited to handle repetitive tasks and process vast amounts of data, and instead envisions the creation of autonomous systems, possibly driven by artificial intelligence, that can operate independently of human input. Importantly, cyber-nihilism does not advocate for a return to a pre-technological state. It acknowledges that we have passed a point of no return with regard to issues like climate change and that technology is now an integral part of our world. Instead, it proposes a way for nihilism itself to become cybernetic, using protocols and memes to spread the idea of pure negation and challenge existing power structures and hegemonies. In essence, cyber-nihilism can be likened to a virus that infects people's minds, causing them to question established systems and reject traditional ideologies. It is not a structured belief system, but rather a process of spreading skepticism and negation, with the ultimate goal of reducing human influence over complex systems.
Like this video and subscribe to Maker.
Advancements in biomedical technology, particularly in the fields of prosthetics and bioimaging, are challenging the traditional notion of the human body as a sacred and inviolable entity. The concepts of cyborgs and cyberbodies are emerging as new ways of understanding the intersection of technology and the human form. In the near future, ambient intelligence devices may further transform our understanding of the body, giving rise to the idea of the transparent body. This concept envisions a world where basic diagnostic and therapeutic procedures can be performed remotely, with the patient's vital signs and physiological data being constantly monitored by wearable or implantable devices. The transparent body paradigm could lead to the development of digital representations of individuals, known as medical avatars or digital me. These virtual surrogates would act as a tool for optimizing and potentially predicting personalized patient care. By integrating data from various sources, medical avatars could provide a comprehensive view of an individual's health, enabling more accurate modeling, simulation, and pre-operative planning. This shift towards the transparent body and medical avatars may have profound implications for the future of healthcare. Hospitals and healthcare facilities could become highly specialized centers for medical research and emergency care, while routine clinical examinations would be conducted remotely, with physicians interacting primarily with the patient's digital representation. However, this scenario is not without risks. The increasing reliance on technology and the reduction of the patient to a collection of physiological parameters may lead to the dehumanization and depersonalization of healthcare. Patients may become increasingly disembodied, seen as the sum of their biological functions rather than as whole individuals. Another potential risk arises from patients' ability to directly monitor their own biometric data through wearable devices. While this could increase body awareness, it may also encourage self-diagnosis, potentially leading to serious health consequences. As we navigate this new landscape of cyberbodies and transparent bodies, it is crucial to carefully consider the ethical implications and strive to maintain the human element in healthcare, even as technology transforms the way we understand and interact with our bodies. Cymatics is a fascinating field that explores the visual representation of sound vibrations. When a surface, such as a plate or membrane, is vibrated at various frequencies, intricate patterns emerge in the medium placed on top, which can be anything from sand and dust to fluids. This phenomenon was first observed centuries ago by notable figures like Galileo Galilei and Robert Hooke, but it was a German musician and physicist who systematically studied these patterns in the late 18th century. He discovered that the shape of the surface and the way it is constrained determine the patterns formed by the vibrations, which are now known as Chladni figures. In the 1960s, a Swiss physician expanded upon this work, claiming that the symmetrical patterns formed by sound waves were a manifestation of a subtle vibrational energy field. He was particularly intrigued by the circular pattern that emerged when the ancient Sanskrit syllable, was vocalized. However, from a scientific perspective, the shape of these patterns is predetermined by the geometry of the vibrating body and the frequency spectrum of the vibration. Despite the lack of scientific backing for some of the more esoteric interpretations, Cymatics has had a significant influence on art and music. Artists have used cymatic patterns in projections, paintings, and installations, while musicians have incorporated them into compositions and performances. Some have even claimed to find connections between cymatic patterns and sacred geometry or ancient symbols. In the realm of engineering, researchers have drawn inspiration from the periodic and symmetrical patterns created by sound vibrations at the air-liquid interface to develop methods for engineering diverse structures from microscale materials using liquid-based templates. By adjusting the vibration frequency and acceleration, these templates can be dynamically reconfigured, opening up new possibilities for material design. Cynocephaly, the characteristic of having the head of a dog or jackal on a human body, is a widely attested mythical phenomenon found in various cultures and contexts around the world. From ancient Egypt, India, and Greece to medieval Europe and China, tales of dog-headed beings have captured the imagination of people for centuries. The ancient Greeks were familiar with cynocephaly through representations of Egyptian gods, such as Anubis, the god of the dead. Greek writers also claimed knowledge of dog-headed races in distant lands like India, where they were said to communicate through barking and live by hunting. These accounts were likely influenced by the Greek perception of the Egyptian deities' therianthropic ability to shift between human and animal forms. In medieval Christian worldviews, cynocephaly continued to feature prominently. The Eastern Orthodox Church even depicts Saint Christopher with the head of a dog in certain icons, though this is not universally supported. According to one legend, Christopher was initially a member of a dog-headed race who converted to Christianity and was rewarded with a human appearance. Travelers like Ibn Battuta and Marco Polo also mentioned encounters with dog-headed people in their journeys to exotic lands. These accounts, along with those found in medieval bestiaries and encyclopedias, reinforce the idea of cynocephaly as inhabitants of distant, mysterious places. In Chinese mythology, the 11th animal of the 12-year calendar cycle is often depicted as a human figure with a dog's head. The Buddhist missionary Hui Shen also described an island of dog-headed men to the east of a land he visited, which some identify as Japan or the Americas. Cynocephalic characters continue to appear in modern literature, particularly in comics and graphic novels, where they serve as extras or play significant roles. From Art Spiegelman's Mouse to the Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game, dog-headed creatures remain a fascinating and enduring aspect of human imagination across cultures and time periods. It was an ordinary commercial airline flight from Portland to Seattle in 1971. But one passenger had sinister plans. A man calling himself Dan Cooper boarded the plane and, once in the air, revealed a briefcase that he claimed contained explosives. He demanded $200,000 in cash and several parachutes. After getting what he wanted in Seattle, Cooper allowed the passengers to leave the plane. However, he instructed the crew to take off again and head toward Mexico, keeping the plane low and slow. Sometime after takeoff from Seattle, Cooper jumped out of the back of the plane using one of the parachutes, disappearing into the night with the ransom money. Despite an extensive search and investigation by the FBI, Cooper was never found or identified. The only clue was a small portion of the ransom money that surfaced years later, buried along the banks of a river. Cooper's daring skyjacking and incredible getaway make it one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in American crime history. In 1518, the city of Strasbourg in modern-day France experienced a bizarre and unsettling phenomenon. It began when a woman suddenly started dancing fervently in the streets without any apparent reason. Within a week, dozens of others had joined her, stumbling and swaying uncontrollably. By the end of the month, the number had swelled to hundreds, with people literally dancing themselves to exhaustion as the mania spread like a disease. The authorities were at a loss. No one could explain what was driving this compulsive behavior. Some suspected it was a punishment from God or the work of supernatural forces. Others proposed more scientific explanations, like food poisoning or mass hysteria brought on by the extreme stresses of the time. The dancing continued for weeks until the afflicted were finally taken to pray at a religious shrine. Afterwards, the strange epidemic slowly subsided, leaving only an enduring air of mystery around this bizarre outburst of inexplicable dancing madness in the streets of medieval Strasbourg. Dark matter and dark energy are two of the greatest mysteries in the universe. Dark matter is an invisible and unknown substance that makes up around 27% of the cosmos. Its existence is inferred by the gravitational effects it appears to have on galaxies and galaxy clusters. Ordinary visible matter only accounts for about 5% of the universe, with dark matter providing the additional mass needed for galaxies to hold together and behave as observed. Dark energy is an even stranger concept. It's thought to be a property of space itself that is driving the accelerated expansion of the universe. About 68% of the universe consists of this dark energy that overwhelms gravity on cosmic scales, propelling galaxies away from each other at increasing speeds. While their effects are clearly seen, the true nature of dark matter and dark energy remains one of science's biggest unsolved puzzles, challenging our fundamental understanding of the universe. Slime, often dismissed as a mere residue or byproduct, holds profound significance in understanding life itself. Transcending its association with decomposition or synthetic novelties, slime emerges as a vital physical and metaphysical substance central to a biophilosophy that challenges human-centric perspectives. By delving into nature philosophy, speculative realism, and contemporary science, alongside vivid representations in the works of H.P. Lovecraft, Thomas Ligotti, and various horror media, we uncover the dynamics of slime not merely as a trace, but as the darkly vitalistic essence of life itself. This exploration reveals slime's generative and mutative capacities, presenting it as a necessary object for a realist understanding of the living world, devoid of anthropocentric biases. In this vein, slime becomes a conduit to reframe our conceptions of existence, acknowledging the primordial and ever-shifting nature of life that extends far beyond human existence. Dataism refers to an emerging philosophy that places supreme importance on the flow and processing of data. It views the universe itself as consisting of data flows, where the value of any phenomenon is determined by its contribution to data processing. In this mindset, humans themselves can be seen as a single massive data processing system. As data and its analysis become increasingly central to society, Dataism posits that we may eventually entrust algorithms and artificial intelligence to make major decisions in our lives, from careers to relationships. While offering potential insights by harnessing the power of big data to identify patterns, Dataism has also raised concerns about threats to individual privacy and human agency. Some criticize it as a potential new religion or ideology that could undermine liberal humanist values. Nonetheless, Dataism represents an intriguing philosophical perspective emerging from our data-driven modern world. The death ray, a theoretical concept from the 1920s and 1930s, was envisioned as a particle beam or electromagnetic weapon. Inventors like Guglielmo Marconi, Nikola Tesla, and others claim to have independently invented it. While initially a product of fiction, the idea of energy-based weapons inspired real-life counterparts like the United States Navy's laser weapon system, LAWS, deployed in 2014, often referred to as a death ray. These are technically known as directed energy weapons. Various inventors, including Edwin R. Scott, Harry Grindell Matthews, and Antonio Longoria, claim to have developed functioning death rays, but their devices were never proven to work as claimed. Nikola Tesla's death beam, known as teleforce, was said to transmit immense energy over long distances, distinguishing it from traditional death rays. During World War II, both the Germans and the Japanese had projects related to death rays involving particle accelerators and microwaves, respectively. In a remote desert valley, there exists a peculiar geological phenomenon: rocks that seem to move across the flat ground all on their own, leaving behind long, winding trails in the dirt. For decades, these so-called sailing stones baffled scientists, trying to unravel the mystery of how they could possibly travel without any apparent force setting them in motion. The tracks crisscrossed in nonsensical patterns, with some rocks appearing to inexplicably change direction mid-journey. Various fanciful theories attempted to explain it, from supernatural causes to dust devils pushing the stones. But the true answer turned out to be an ingenious collaboration between wind, ice, and mud. When winter rains flooded the desert playas, thin sheets of ice would form. As temperatures warmed, the ice would slowly crack and break apart, with winds blowing the fragmented ice rafts across the muddy surface. The sailing stones, happening to be trapped within the moving ice pans, created their surreal trails as they drifted erratically until the ice melted away, leaving only the perplexing rocky paths as evidence of nature's bizarre phenomenon. In the desolate expanse of Death Valley, legends have long circulated about a mysterious underground city and an ancient race that once called it home. These tales, passed down through generations of Paiute Native Americans, speak of a sacred place known as the Kingdom of Shin-Au-Av, or God's Land. According to the stories, a brave Paiute chief once journeyed deep into this subterranean realm in search of his deceased wife. He encountered supernatural challenges and crossed a precarious bridge before finally reaching the Spirit Land, where he found his people dancing joyously. Though he eventually located his wife, a fateful glance backwards during their escape separated them forever. Over the years, various prospectors and adventurers have claimed to have stumbled upon hidden caverns and tunnels beneath Death Valley that led to this fabled underground city. They described vast rooms illuminated by an otherworldly light, populated by fair-skinned people in leather garments, and filled with incredible treasures like gold, gemstones, and perfectly preserved mummies. However, despite several attempts to lead archaeologists and experts back to these sites, the entrances were never found again, lost to the shifting sands and altered terrain of the desert. Some searchers, driven by their determination to rediscover this lost world, vanished forever in their pursuit. While the truth behind these captivating legends remains elusive, they continue to fuel the imaginations of those who hear them, hinting at the possibility of ancient mysteries waiting to be uncovered in the depths of Death Valley. In the 1960s, the United States Navy conducted a series of groundbreaking experiments known as SEALAB, which aimed to test the feasibility of humans living and working underwater for extended periods. These undersea habitats, placed at varying depths off the coast, allowed Navy divers to explore the effects of saturation diving and prolonged isolation on the human body and mind. The first SEALAB project, launched off the coast of Bermuda, proved that it was possible for divers to remain submerged for several days at a time. Despite challenges such as high humidity and difficulties with communication in the helium-rich atmosphere, the aquanauts successfully completed their mission. Subsequent SEALAB projects saw the habitats grow in size and sophistication, with amenities like hot showers, refrigeration, and even a trained dolphin named Tuffy who assisted the divers. One notable aquanaut was Scott Carpenter, a former astronaut who set a record by staying underwater for a full month. However, the SEALAB program was not without its dangers and setbacks. The final project, SEALAB 3, faced numerous technical issues and tragically resulted in the death of one aquanaut due to equipment malfunction and the stressful conditions of the mission. Despite the challenges and ultimate end of the SEALAB program, the knowledge gained from these daring experiments greatly contributed to our understanding of deep-sea diving physiology and the potential for humans to live and work beneath the waves.